So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Cindy Cao. I'm the founder and president of Silicon Valley Career Women. Silicon Valley Career Women is a nonprofit, and Mentor in Tech is the project that we started to help young professionals and also students, new grads, to grow in technical fields. We offer the soft skill workshop like what you're attending today, and also the open source technology demo day. And we also provide a mock interview, resume enhancement, and internal referral. And about myself, my full-time job is a software engineer working on self-driving car technologies. I personally experienced being a junior professional and did a lot of silly things. And then I eventually grew into a senior engineer. When I look back, I think if I get a good mentor earlier, probably it can accelerate my career development sooner. So let's watch the 1-minute video of our Silicon Valley Career Women 2019 kickoff video.
Silicon Valley Career Woman.
Silicon Valley Career Women.
Silicon Valley Career Woman.
Silicon Valley Career Woman.
Please pay attention to our mentoring program and our upcoming events in 2019.
Boost competence and enhance happiness.
Please consider participating in our mentoring programs and joining us at our upcoming events. We will be there for you.
We'll be there for you.
And we will be there for you.
We will be here for you.
We will be there for you.
So, we will be there for you is our slogan. We want to help more young professionals and students and new grads to grow in 2019. Our Mentor in Tech project is not only limited to women, it's for all kinds of people. So now we are going to invite our primary speaker, Vicky Xu, who is the engineer manager at Google Cloud and also was the former engineer director at VMware. And she has been a very good mentor to many people in technical fields for so many years. So last year we had a more than 500 people conference at Computer History Museum. And Vicky was also one of our main speakers. I remember one thing she shared with the audience very clearly. Every woman needs a wife. So after that conference, I hired a full-time nanny. It really helped me a lot. I also observed another thing. There are so many very successful career women in Silicon Valley, and they have the same attribute. One is they are the mother of 3 kids. Another is they're super thin. They're super fit. So Vicky is one of them. So now let's welcome Vicky to give us the knowledge sharing of her view of do's and don'ts at the Workspace. Welcome, Vicky.
Okay, good morning. It's really good to be here. It's a nice campus. Yeah, it's beautiful. I don't come here too often for some reason, but it's a very nice. The weather's getting better now. It's spring, and all of you are here. So I really appreciate you spending time. This is an important topic. So a little bit about me. I have done a lot of different things. But only last 5 years, I started thinking about this topic, the soft skills. So it's actually very complex, very interesting, and it's a great topic to discuss and to start discussing, because you never stop discussing that one. And it's a lifelong journey. So my talk, I've been thinking about this. It's a great topic that Cindy came up with. And I've been thinking about this for 2 months about how do I present this? What is the flow? On the one hand, it's huge. It's a huge space. On the other hand, it's just a list of common senses. So here's what I'm going to do today. I give you a little bit structure. And for people who know me, I approach everything analytically because I'm a software engineer. So I give you a little bit structure. A lot of it is what I personally realized, so may or may not be correct. And I give you a structure about what is soft skill, and especially how do you think about the other half, the hard skill, right? There's soft skill, there's hard skill. What's the relationship? How much time do you spend on soft skill? How much time do you spend on hard skill? And how do they work together? So I want to get that framework out of the way first. And then I'll move into a little bit practical section that's about some do's and don'ts that's related to soft skills. And in there, the first two are really dear to my heart. I really realized that the last 5 years, and I can't wait to share with everybody. And I welcome feedback. If you have any questions, any things you found very different, feel free to contact me, or we can talk during lunch. And I really, really appreciate that. And then a couple of very practical things you can do at work. In the afternoon, I think there's another agenda for the afternoon. Initially I was thinking about some practice on the soft skill, but since half the audience are interested in interviewing, so we made a small adjustment. We are doing some interview-specific things in this area. So, okay. So that's the plan. So let me move on. So I started with looking up the dictionary. Actually, my kids, I have 3 kids. 2 of them are now asking me about soft skill all the time. But they are 4th grader and a 6th grader. And my oldest one actually wanted to come. She's in high school. But I said, oh, I'll do this and I'll come back and give you a private session on this. So soft skill. Soft skill in the dictionary basically is about the ability to work with people. Right? So common sense, it's no surprise. And then when I was Googling, I found this ads. It says Salesforce, everybody knows that company, right? Salesforce put out this ad say they did an employee survey, or they did a survey of employers and found out 77% of employers says that soft skills are just as important as hard skills. So, okay, so that's where hard skill popped up. I go, okay, what is hard skill? So then I think Cindy said, and also the professor who was here, she also said, stay fit, right, in shape. So I run a lot, and the one thing I like to do is listening to podcasts when learning. Podcast has a lot of leadership topics. There's also Software Engineering Daily. It's one of my favorites. And that actually works both ways, because the podcast is the reason I like to run, because I get to listen to it. Otherwise, during the day, I really don't have time. So podcast becomes my motivation to run, and the more I run, the more energetic I get. So it's a great synergy. So podcast, I heard this phrase, so I just like to share with people. Hard skills are easy, soft skills are hard. So I like simple phrases so people can go back and memorize them. So actually hard skills are not that easy, but compared to hard skills, soft skills are harder. Right? So hard skills are easy, soft skills are hard. So it came from one of the podcast topics. Okay, so then I went on and said, let me compare them, right, based on my experience. A few areas, a few components, and feel free to ask questions and add to that list. So first is, what are hard skills, what are soft skills? Right? Okay. Actually, let me pause. So who wants to volunteer? Who wants to mention a few things what do you think? What are hard skills? Okay, and wait, yeah.
For example, some kind of software skills.
Soft
So,
skills.
yeah, some kind of peer framework and a peer distributed system. This is probably related to you and design software and hardware. Because you can actually learn from some kind of expert.
I see. Good. So the answer, let me paraphrase, is if you build a distributed system, if you build a system, you can actually learn from experts. So that's hard skills, right? Yeah. Soft skills, any examples? Yeah.
I think soft skill is more interact with the other people.
Okay.
Teamwork, for example.
Teamwork is one of the soft skills. Yeah. Good. So, all right. So let me see what I put down there. So technology, right? So technology, you build a system. In the software engineering, you have languages. You have C++, Java, Python. So those are knowledge. And there's also domain knowledge. What does domain knowledge mean? Domain knowledge typically means a sub-area. In the software engineering, you have storage, right? Storage, they care about latency, they care about reliability, and versus networking. And so those are all different domains. Bioengineering, definitely there's a domain. They are very deep and complex. And so product knowledge, right? Sometimes how do you use certain products? So a lot of it to do with knowledge, right? Something very specific, something black and white. It's yes or no. Typically, it's very clear, and you can usually learn it and then know you got it or not got it, right? And the soft skills, some examples, how do you work with peers? So that's the first one. Peers, how do you gain visibility, right? You are in a group, maybe you enter as a new person or you have been there for 4 years. How do you become standout? Presentation skills, right? Give a talk to different audiences, to VPs, to CEO, or to your team, to cross-functional teams. And also team meetings, right? Do you talk? Do you not talk? What do you say? Promotion. Do you ask for promotion or do you wait for promotion to happen? So those are all the things. There's no right or wrong answer, right? The answer typically is it depends because it's very situational. And criteria. How do you know you're good at hard skill? That's pretty clear. I think you said that. Expert. You used the word expert. Yes. There's domain expert, there's product expert, there's very experienced senior engineer, they know more. So in a company, those are well recognized. You know something better than other people. So you are the experts. But soft skill, you typically don't go, he's a teamwork expert, right? Maybe you joke about that, but there's no official title like that. But what's the criteria? But there's some people who are well-liked. Right? Everybody likes to work with them. Everybody likes that person. That's one of the signals, right? If you're well liked, you typically are very good at working with people. Right? So this yesterday, my teenager daughter told me, "You are a good mother." I was like, "Wow, I made it." It's very hard to get a teenager to tell you you're a good mother. By the way, it's very, very hard. So this is an indication, right? People think you are good. And a boss, does your boss like you? Does your boss lean on you? Does your boss share his or her challenges with you? Right? If your boss comes to your office in the morning, hey, I had this challenge, I don't know what to do. You got it. Your boss leans on you. But if your boss just comes in, hey, what's going on? Oh, you need this, then 2 minutes later he left. You probably are not there, right? And do you get promoted, right? Some people, those superstars, they move up the ladder pretty quickly. Some other people stay a little longer. So those are all indications whether you're good at soft skills or not, right? So not so clear compared to hard skills. And also, I kind of alluded, the criteria are, one is more objective. The other is very situational. So the answer typically is it depends. And how do you learn those skills? And hard skills, many of you have been through school, 12 years of public education, then 4 years of college, then graduate school. What do you learn mostly in school? Hard skill or soft skill? What do you think? Typically hard skills, right? At school, but school try to prepare you to be ready for the job, so they may give you some of the lectures, they invite some guest speakers, give you some exposure to that. But I don't think there's a lot of classes at the school teaching you how to build your management skills, how do you do leadership, how do you resolve conflicts, I don't know, are there classes like that? There may be a few, but typically those are training and you need to be at a certain level to appreciate those trainings. So many companies do that. They have leadership training, they have management trainings, they have process trainings. So those are, you typically learn at a job, right? And also, don't forget, most important, mentors. You learn from people. And some people are lucky, their first managers are great mentors, they learned a ton. Some people, they get a manager who didn't really teach them that much, just make sure they get work done, then they learn the less. But, so again, situational, but there are ways you can get around that, right? So that's a quicker comparison to give you a flavor what's hard skill, what's soft skill, right? Then what's the ratio, right? To be successful, I will start with a real example that so at Google, I started in the cloud. I recently changed to a different group. So my director, when he was talking to me about job, he go, hey Vicky, there are 3 elements of a job. So he drew those on the board. So 3 circles. So he go, first there's technology, right? It's Google and we're a software engineering team. Technology, no question about that. Second one, domain, product. Because it's about resource planning and it's a very specific domain. It's a planning, data analytics, that kind of area. So there's that domain knowledge. If you're good at programming and coding, you may not be good at that domain knowledge. So that's second one. Then third one, he put down people. So the job I have now has 3 elements: technology, domain, people. Right? People, because who do we serve? There are people, there are many kind of different stakeholders. There's user who use our product. There are dependencies who we use their components. There are people who we work together. So people. So let's look at that in light of hard skill and the soft skill. So what about technology? Is it hard skill or soft skill? Hard skill, yeah, hard skill. So what about domain and the product? Very good, hard skill. So what about people? Okay, good. Everybody passed. Great, you all know now. So in a job, at least in my job, 2 hard skill, 1 soft skill. So to give you a feel for what that ratio is. And I like this picture, the next one, I'm getting more and more visual. I used to be very abstract thinker, but now I realize the power of picture. It gives you a good memory that you can reflect on. So this picture spoke a lot to me. What is it? It's a typical iceberg, right? The tip of iceberg, we say that a lot. So what does that mean? There's a bulk of those in the water. That's the ice. Then there's a little bit tip above the water, right? So what did that picture speak to me? I feel, the 2 components, that's very clearly. I think the top is the soft skill because it gives you the ability to stand out, right? Shine. But it builds on the bulk of the components down there. That's the hard skill. If you don't have hard skill, you just, we know a lot of those people at work, right? He can just talk, right? You remember that phrase? He can just talk. He can't get anything done. but he talks very well. So that kind of person probably has very good soft skill, but very weak hard skill, and they don't go very far. Maybe situationally, at some point, the boss didn't really know who knows what, and you got away from that. And even in school, right? Some people, they got lucky in the test, or they got people to help them with projects. They didn't actually do the project, but in a group project, they didn't do anything, but other people did all the work, they got good grades. You have a lot of people like that. If you don't have solid hard skill, soft skill, it won't last long. Right? You need that bulk down there. And also, how do you learn those skills? The soft skill really, to me, fundamentally, you learn that in life, you learn that at work. And hard skill, school gives you a lot of it. So the message here is, because a lot of you are still college graduates, I want you to realize that you learn a lot of hard skill in the school, but soft skill, the learning journey is just beginning. Right? Now you step into the society, get into the job, or looking for a job. This is where you really need to hone in and get started on this. If you haven't started already, I know some people are really natural to this and they already. Anyway, this is nothing new from what I talked about, but more of a visual picture for you to bring home with. Okay, now we switch the gear a little bit, and we talk about the number one that I want you to take away. So this is actually dear to my heart. I realized that more and more so now, but started realizing that 5 years ago. So the first thing is really own your career, right? Own your career. Some of you haven't, so let me do a quick survey. How many of you are still in school? Okay, good. And about a quarter-ish. How many of you have work experience between 1 and 5 years? Okay. All right, that's another kind of third-ish. And how many of you have work experience above 5 years? Okay. I don't feel everybody raised the hand, but what did I miss? I thought my criteria are very tight and there's really no hole there. But anyway, so maybe I will hear from you at the lunchtime. Okay, so this is why this is important. It's actually important now, widely recognized by the companies. Google is one of them. They are very clear with the employees. You get in the door, they tell you you own your own career. We provide a lot of support for you. At Google, what we do is, I don't know how many of you know, the promotion process is completely driven by individuals. So you get in, we give you the career ladder description, we tell you you are level 3 or 4, then the next level, that's the requirement, and you work on it, and then you create a packet. We call packet, a long packet. You establish why you meet the criteria of the next level with all the artifacts, like the links to the doc, the code you do, or everything, or the numbers, metrics, whatever shows the impact. You show that packet, and then there's a committee there, go over the packet. It's kind of like college admissions, right, a little bit. You apply, and then somebody look over that. Those are not your managers, not people even work with you. They look at your application, they decide whether you get promoted or not. So this is very revolutionary from management point of view. Probably the only company doing this, I think. So initially I didn't even believe in this until I got into Google. Yes?
I have one question.
Yes.
Does that mean they can promote those people who actually like included doctors?
That's a good question. So they are promoting people who actually are self-initiators, right? A lot of Asian people, Chinese people actually shy away because we are brought up as being modest, right? We want other people to recognize we don't want to sell ourselves. So that's very difficult for a lot of people to even put themselves up to say, I need to be promoted. But actually, that's not a problem. That could be a problem, but it's not a problem because the document has all the links. And it actually doesn't matter what your grammar or your writing is. We use bullet points. We show, okay, I did that much work, and here's that much impact. We made so much more money because of this change. How many people? Another thing is you need a peer review. So there are people actually have to chime in on your packet and say, yes, that person did that. And it's not your manager. Managers come and get disregarded. But all the peers. So you need the people to like you, to support you. And they have to know you're going up for promotion. So own your career. So Google is an extreme company that has system to allow people to own their career and move up the ladder that way. Most other companies, it's still mixed because you go in, you have a manager. If you have a good manager, the manager makes sure you work on important projects. Then the projects delivers and they support you, they get you promoted, right? And then even more extreme to that, when I started working almost 20 years ago, and the company, I started at HP after Stanford, and HP has a pension system. In that days, it's really like you just work at a company, be loyal, do whatever you're asked to do, and we take care of you, right? That almost disappeared now. There's no company does that anymore. Very few companies offer pension anymore. So that disappeared. But then we have this gap that people don't know really how to own their career. They get to a point, get laid off mid-career, and very hard to find a new job at that point. So Google pioneered this new process that get everybody trained very early on to own their career. That's a good thing. It's not easy though, but have that in your mind. You need to own your career. So that's the first message. Then I thought a lot about what does a successful career mean. Right? It probably means different things to different people. And typically the common sense is like this guy, right, in the picture. Get to the height. You get to the level, you are the CEO, you are the VP, you are the senior director, so you are successful. Yes, and again, coming back to podcast, I heard one yesterday, somebody surveyed a lot of successful people, but more than half of them are not happy. Right? They're successful, they made it, their company made a lot of money, they made a lot of money, but they're not happy. So what does that mean? And if you came to the talk last summer, I talked a little bit about is happiness lead to success or success lead to happiness, right? The famous dilemma. And so I continue to think about that. My insight in this area is I'm not looking for a successful career, but I'm looking for I call it a career security. I probably need to find a better name. So kind of thinking about, people talk about financial independence, right? Financial independence means you have a good enough source. It doesn't mean you're super rich, but you have enough, you can live a reasonable life. So what I'm advocating here is to find a way to be marketable, and you can always find a job. You can, I think, you mentioned that why do you need a job? It's survival, right? You need the resources coming in to support your lifestyle, to support your family, your loved ones. I have 3 kids. They're all going to go to college. It's not going to be easy. So what do? You need to prepare yourself to be marketable. If I leave Google tomorrow, I'm very confident I can find a job. Right? I can find a reasonable job. I can support my lifestyle. So you need to have that confidence. So once you have that confidence, you have the security. It's really the security. It's better than $50 million in my account. Right? I feel like the ability, the confidence I have in me to be able to find a job is better than X amount of money somebody handed to me. Right? And also, I think there's another, as a parent, I don't know, how many of you are parents? Okay, have a few. So as a parent, I feel like it's really important. You are working hard. It's a role model. That means actually a lot more than how much money you give to your kids. So security, I'm advocating career security. So find a way, and soft skill is key to allow you to get that. And also the green thing on the side, that's sustainability. It's so great that you're talking exactly what I prepared. Sustainability, right? Why is it important? Because you need to be able to sustain. I need to sustain another 10 years for sure for all my kids to go through college. So it needs to be, it's not just today I can always find a job. I need to make sure the next 10 years I can always find a job at any day. Right? A reasonable job, not just a job. So I think that's a sustainable, secure job, career, I think is more important than arbitrarily success career based on somebody else's definition. Okay, so how do you do that? And I've been thinking a lot about that. The key thing is interest, actually. The key thing is interest. What prepares you beyond the 10 years, 20 years into career, and you can still sustain yourself, is actually your interest. It's a little bit above soft skill, hard skill. It's something a little over there. But I really want to get that in your head, especially if you are still in school. You typically don't think too much about that. You just think about, okay, I learned so much. I know math. I know English. How do I get a job? I can get a paycheck and start my life. And this is the thing that actually is what's important 20 years down the road, can keep you going. So, what is it, right? It's actually not that straightforward. What is interest? So I looked up. So here's my field. A secure, sustainable career takes 3 elements. You need to have skill set, certainly, that's hard skill. Skill set that allow you to have the ability to make contributions. And interest is actually only you know which was interesting to you. And opportunity, right? Interest, skill set, opportunity are the 3 things allow you to get that. So opportunity is really the one you have least control over, but don't worry because it doesn't, the whole era right now we are in, they're full of opportunities, and also you're in Silicon Valley, they're full of opportunities. So just make sure you get yourself in some area there are enough opportunities. That's good enough. You don't have to find the best opportunity. You just don't coop yourself in some area that there's no opportunity. So that's how you should think about that. And the skill set is totally under your control, right? You need to learn that. That skill set includes both soft skill and hard skill. But interest is the one that people typically ignore. So I want to float that up and give you some thoughts on that. So what is interest? It's not hobby, actually. Think about that, hobby, right? People like music, they like arts. You can go home, you paint, and you do things. The hobby is where you practice, you actually do, pursue. And but you don't have to do a whole lot. It's a way for you to kind of winding down. It's, give you a break so that you can recharge yourself to conquer something harder. Interest is actually a feeling that you wanted to do more and learn of some area. And that's only you know, right? Something interesting to you may not be interesting to other people, right? So it's something you know, and you may or may not pursue that actively because of the job, or your currently job may not be that, and it may not lead to a hobby. So this is interesting because personally, why is it important? Is I have a graduate from Stanford in CS department. I got a job at HP, then I did a startup. I did a very normal thing. And I went to VMware and became a manager and all those. But I never had a strong interest in any of the work I do. I'm okay. I have the hardcore skills. I'm very analytical. I'm good at, and then I learned how to manage people, how to deal with process, and I'm okay with my job, but I don't really have that passion. But my current job actually is what I'm really passionate about. What is it? It's actually, it's very boring to a lot of people. It's a data analytics planning job. I love it. I really love it. I love looking at data. I get tons of data in. I do a SQL, I graph it, and I enjoy that. I don't know why, but I enjoy that. So once I enjoy that, I started working more. I really work every weekend. I work a weekend, but to me it's like hobby. It's like it's relaxing. Right? Hobby. The one thing about hobby is it's relaxing. You enjoy. You like doing that. You don't mind how much time you put in there. Usually you have to stop yourself. So now I have to stop myself. Last week I got to file taxes. If I don't file taxes, it's getting late. Taxes, yeah. So last weekend was my tax time. I have to stop myself from doing work. So this is, I worked for 20 years. This is the first time I got that. Now I feel like I'm very secure because this is a job I like, right? This is a job gives me reasonable support, pay, and it's a well-established industry. So even if it doesn't work out at Google, I can go somewhere else and I enjoy it. And then I learn a ton. Right? Once you enjoy something you're learning, your speed of learning just increases dramatically. So it happened to me finally. I got a little taste of it between VMware and Google. I went to a startup and I was doing something. Startup is doing data analytics of jobs. Actually, they are recruiting firm. They are creating a new software to matching between talents and a job. So it's a kind of AI way of doing things. And that was interesting, but I found myself really like looking at people's profile and matching. So the matching aspect is probably something I'm interested in. So that's, that's personal to me. It's probably none of you would be interested in the stuff I do. That's fine, right? Find your own interest. Because once you have that interest, then the job becomes fun, and then you can sustain yourself through difficult times. The job will have aspects. In my current job, there are aspects I don't really like, right? But then I can deal with it because there's a lot of strong enough interest in there for me. So I want to just get it in your head. It's not easy to identify what you're interested in or not yet, especially if you're in school. But don't give up on that. Keep looking, you will find it. And there may be a few of those you are equally interested in. That's fine. You just find one of them, that's enough. You don't need to keep finding the best one. But a lot of people, including, now I think back, my last job, it's good. It's a job I could do, but I didn't enjoy it that much. So, okay. So that's it. It's really what I want to get into you. And then a couple of practical ones, okay? So at every job or every situation you do, you need to, setting expectation is just so important, right? So, but who do you set with depending on the stakeholders, right? So if you go into a job, especially a new environment, or even interviewing, right? You go into a group of people, then you go, who is the key stakeholder? I need to make sure I don't fall short of, right? I need to then make sure the expectation, you're aligned with the expectation. And that one is very subtle because why is it important? So I had a case at my current group actually. A new person came in for, I think she had probably 3 years of experience before. So she came in and then she worked on a project. It was new to her, it was difficult, it was a different language. And then she spent 8 weeks on that and finished. And then the tech leader said that was too slow. right? That was too slow. And then the manager told her that was too slow. You need to speed up you didn't do it fast enough. And then she's like, I did the day and night and spent a lot of time. Why is there such a gap, right? So why is such a gap? There's that expectation. And this example is so real. It actually happens a lot, yes.
So when you say set expectations, do you mean that you expect expectations from you or from them or from task?
Yeah, so the question is, what is that expectation? Who sets what expectation, right? So it's a very good question because expectation is such a subtle thing, right? People don't come out and say it because especially if you're new to a group, your technical leader, we call TL, is not going to say, hey, hey Vicky, you need to probably spend 3 weeks on this and no more, right? Nobody will do that because it's unreasonable. But then they had that 3 weeks in their head. They feel like a new person, it should take about 3 weeks to do. But they will not say that voluntarily, right? So then what happened? Then you go in, you don't know how long, you are new to this. So you just do the best you can. And it turns out 7 weeks, 8 weeks. And you go, okay, then the TL just say too slow. But never said too slow by how many weeks, they will not tell you. So how do you handle that situation, right? It's already too late at that point because they form the impression of you. They feel like you're slow, right? So she eventually transferred out because it's a very difficult situation. After that, she felt she's now scrutinized, right? You already have that perception, I'm too slow, and it's not safe anymore. So everything she does now, she's very careful, and she tries to be fast, but fast doesn't always lead to good outcome. So she felt like that's enough. I'm so stressed that she left a different group. But what you do at the beginning is you actually sit down with your TL, say, hey, you give me this task. In your mind, what do you expect this task to finish, right? You can ask. The person will never tell you explicitly. Sometimes they do, but they don't. Yeah, you have a question?
In your example, there is no clear deadline for this task when she was given the task. Did I say this is a problem for a manager that is not set the right expectation when she is giving the task to the new person? Because the new person who is joining Google doesn't have any experience of how the expectation of how floaters work. So as her manager, no matter if it's her direct manager from people management side or from the technical lead side, they should set the expectation and clearly in the beginning and tell her, this is the task we wanted to finish, and this is the deadline, or approximately it will take a learner, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks. What do you think? Can you deliver this on time, or do you need more time, or do you need more resource on how to do?
So are you a manager? Are
Yes,
you?
I am.
I can tell.
I'm
Okay.
from the point of the manager is not helping this new person when she's
Yeah. Good point. I'll come back to your point. But this is exactly why soft skills are so ambiguous, right? It depends. So, okay. So I think the way I summarize our conversation is, yes, soft skills actually are less important if you have a good manager. Really, you're a good manager. You know what to do. You don't see that many good managers at Google, okay? Because it's not because it's intentional, it's because Google wants employees to own their own career. So that you don't depend on. It's like children too. You have good parents, everything's easy. But is that the best thing for later, right? So sometimes you have to let them learn some lessons. So it's the two camps thing. But if you have a good structure, good manager who sets deadline, who does everything, you are less likely to run into that situation, right? You agree, right? Yes. So it's definite. But I'm teaching you from the other side. If you don't depend on a good manager to be there, because you walk into a situation, you don't know if that manager is a good one. A good one meaning a very protective one, a very coaching-oriented one. And those are great managers. So if you find that manager, just stick with them. Okay? But don't expect everything works that way. In our situation, it didn't happen, right? So then what do? You cannot turn around and say blame the manager. Yes, you can, but there's stuff you can do still in any situation. So my talk is about, if the other side is not there, what do you do? Does that make sense?
It's also, from the other point of view, the person who's doing this for 8 long weeks,
Yeah.
there should be checking
Check.
every,
Yeah.
not maybe 1 week, maybe reasonable every 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
She should be checking in with the head
Yeah,
or
yeah.
manager. Am I doing okay here?
Yeah,
Am I on the
yeah.
right track? These are the things that actually helps her not to fail at the end of the 8 weeks, but
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
guide her. Oh, I'm too slow, maybe I should speed
Yeah.
up. Or I'm good enough at my speed, I should continue. Those
Yeah,
are the
yeah.
things maybe
So
checking.
exactly, that's the expectation part. What are you checking? Checking expectation, right? Because expectation is hidden in somebody's head, not always clear. So then what happens is you check, and not just once, but periodically. I think that's your point, right? Periodically to say, am I still on track, right? Is it still fitting your expectation? And also, but you can't do that with everybody. That's very time consuming. So you pick the right stakeholder. Like in this case, it's the tech lead. So you make sure the tech lead is on board with you doing and share all the challenges you went into. Because it took 8 weeks, there was a reason, right? You worked hard, there was a reason. You encountered something. It's just that we're talking about soft skill, right? It's the expectation and the assumptions could be very different from person to person, at different experience level. So, so I think yes. So it's very good. You chimed in. If you get lucky, you have a clear deadline. So and you have a boss who gave you the expectation, so you know how to self-check. You only need to self-check in that case, because it's very well written down. But if it's not clear, and it is the case with Google actually, right? It's not clear because Google is a very employee-driven company. They let you do. We don't have schedule and deadline, believe it or not. When it's common sense for most other companies, it doesn't exist yet. So we depend on individuals do the best they can, and deliver. We get things done, just that things are not usually done in a top-down fashion. So I think in this case, it's really to set expectation, check expectation. Anything you do, then allow you not to get to the situation at the end it's like it didn't meet their expectation. Does that make sense? So you're asking what kind of structure do we have, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's a very different topic. Oh, I can tell you for a whole session about how Google operates. But yes, at a high level, if it's a very important, visible company-wide project, you have TPMs running them, but not at every project level. Because a lot of our project, there's no clear deadline. But of course, we need to do the best we can, right, to get stuff done. But it just structure is not as clear as a lot of other companies you may be used to. So this is about when the structure is not there, you use your soft skills, right, to overcome that. And that's, yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So for this young girl, she has to leave the group, right?
Yeah.
What's your suggestion if she still wants to be in this group and she can still survive?
Yeah. So I did give her a lot of advices, actually. She came to me at the end when she had that perception already built. But yeah, so the advices really exist, right? Check expectations. And also, let me just move to the next one. Another one kind of related to this is, okay, so key stakeholders, right, boss, tech lead, sometimes your customer. Sometimes it's your customer who will evaluate your work. So at Google, it's very important that you have to establish impact. Anything you do, so it's no longer whether you are a good talker or not. It actually needs somebody who uses your system and tell you how important it is. So this is a very fundamental structure of our promotion evaluation system is peer review. Peer review, we often reach out to our customers or internal users who use our system to come back to say, hey, Vicky's work gave us that much. That's the most solid credential for anything. So those are your key stakeholders. And I set expectation with my customer, right? I go, hey, you need this. I know it's important, but I'm going to take 3 weeks. Is that okay? They go, okay. Then I go, yeah, Cindy.
Our audiences are probably working for different companies or will join different companies. There are some things which apply to all kinds of companies, which is company agnostic. So Vicky shared a lot of things about working for Google, but actually, I think there are some things about the segmentation which apply to everywhere.
Yeah.
I personally worked for a very big company like Microsoft for several years, and also worked for very early stage startup like Auto AI, which is super stressful. And I also have a schoolmate who is also working at there, and so he knows it. And then now I'm working for a pre-IPO company, so I work for different companies, and I realize there are something which is very common. When you are a very junior engineer, you are given a very specific task, and like the deadline is probably something which is very important to your stakeholders. But when you grow to a military engineer, then your expectation is, okay, I give you a task, but I don't need to really guide you, mentor you much. You're able to finish it by yourself, and you need to deliver good quality. And that is expectation you need to achieve. And when you are senior enough, the expectation on you is, I give you a very ambiguous task, and you need to take ownership to design it and to clarify the user requirements, and also deliver the quality of product in time. So the expectations always evolve, but those expectations are actually company agnostic. I think they apply everywhere. The important thing is, the more senior you become, the more time you spend on communication and setting expectations with your stakeholders.
Yeah. So that's well said. I think I started with a simple example for more junior level, and that one may or may not happen depending on the company and the manager. But as you go up the career, this is becoming more and more important, right? And whether you have a good manager or not actually is less important. You just, the key is identify your stakeholders, no more than 3. If it's more than 3, because it's a very high-touch process. So no more than 3. Find out what are the 3 people you have to make sure you don't fall short of, right? So then you make sure you check with them. Yes?
In terms of the performance of the job,
Yeah.
when you evolve to a higher level, then will you, with the distribution or with the components changed?
Yes. Yeah, those things do change. I have one slide on that a little later, and if I don't address that, we can talk more. So the next one actually is related to this, is why do you fall short? Okay, that was, yeah. Why do you fall short? Sometimes you get stuck, right? And that's again, start from junior level, and then it applies differently at every level. So for Beth's question, the person, I think she got stuck at some point. That's why it took her longer, right? Took her longer, she got stuck, she didn't know how to ask for help. Or she thought I would just keep working on this, right? If I don't know, then I keep looking, then I found the wrong thing, and I went over there, and it took longer. So, but setting expectation and this one actually go hand in hand. Because if you know the expectation is you need to finish next week and you still don't know how to do this, you should ask for help, right? But if you don't have a deadline, it's a little bit harder. You just say, maybe I should just keep working at it and learning. So the getting stuck thing actually happens quite a bit at any level. Because you always at a point, either you never know this, you never learned it, you just don't know, right? Or the approach in this group is very different from the group you're used to. So if you get stuck, how far do you go? But you still need to dig in enough because you don't want to appear to be somebody who has no ability to solve anything and always ask questions, right? So this is another fuzzy kind of soft skill thing. Like how far do you go, right? So what I do sometimes I just ask my TL or mentor. I go, I'm kind of stuck here. Do you think I should keep looking, right? Or do you think I should ask somebody? And because keep looking always has a benefit that you learn something. It's never going to be wasted time for you. You get stuck, you know how to unstuck yourself. It's always a benefit to you. It's just it may not be a benefit for the company or project because it took too long. Another person could easily have solved it for you, right? So that's very clear from that point of view. So you have to check with stakeholders, say, hey, I got stuck here because I never worked in this. For her, it was a Python language. It was brand new. She, learning a new language takes time. But you can learn enough and just get job done versus you learn a whole lot. So there are a lot of different approaches you can do in software engineering. But yeah, so I think Cindy's points is well taken. I may give you an example at Google because it's fresh in my head. I know what example to be real. But the reason I give you an example is because I saw it in other companies too. It's not because it's a Google only information, right? But it's just part of the being real kind of thing. And so a lot of those I present, it's not just at Google. I'm only at Google for 2 years. I had 18 years elsewhere. So trust me on that. I don't give you specific example you may not hit outside. But the level of degree may be different. So this one could happen at any level. You can be a senior level, get stuck, and it could be even harder because you don't want to appear like you don't know something, right? You are less secure at that point. Versus if you're just fresh out of school, you may be more willing to ask. You don't feel like you have anything to lose. And but in this case, if you're junior, my experience is it's more like a personality thing. Some people are more introverted than extroverted. Extroverted junior people, I don't see them get stuck too often because they have the ability to ask. But introverted junior people actually may hit that, right? Because it takes a lot of energy for introverted people to go talk to somebody. Yeah, communication, it's actually not a skill thing, it's a personality thing. It's the energy it takes. They just, automatically try to avoid doing this. So the best thing for them to do is look up at the dog, search internet, because that's more comfortable for them. So for more junior people, I see introverted people get stuck more often than extroverted. But for more senior people, you actually can get stuck even if you are extroverted, because I, at that point, had some sort of expert title. I want to maintain my reputation. I don't want to appear I don't know something, right? There's that being vulnerable kind of thing. It's also something everybody needs to overcome. So I see a lot of people don't ask, and what happens is they are experienced enough, they can do a hack, right? They can get around that problem, but then the result is not good. I think that's the problem. It's the quality versus the quantity. Okay, so those two things, so I talked about 4 things, right? And because of interest of time, who is keeping track of time? Okay, we have 20 more minutes. So in summary, I talked about 4 things. 2 are more of a mindset on your career, right? Even if you have a great manager who has a path for you, never lose sight of that. It's your own career. Figure out what you need to learn. Figure out how to build a secure career path for yourself. It's secure. And also the way, that's something I feel is the way to sustain your career is to discover interest and make sure your interest aligns with your job. And then 2 practical advices about setting expectations, about schedule especially, and then when you get stuck, you ask for help. Don't let that stay too long. So that's the simple 4 item list for you. And okay, so let's come back together. I think there was a question about the ratio and what do you do at different stage of the career. So I divided into 1 to 5, And the college graduates, you can probably fit in that, that group. And 5 to 10 years-ish, about 10 years, it's another set of skills, right? And I feel the audience are probably mostly covered by those two groups, so I didn't go on to the third one. But at lunchtime, feel free to talk about if you are beyond that. And soft skill, hard skill. So you see where I put the lines, you can tell, right? If you're more junior, you're still building hard skills. And that's your job, really, is execute, learning, and building your foundation. And but then what they are, I have a list. So let me build that out. So on the soft skill side, what do you do as a junior person? So first, that's my preach, is the interest, right? Discover, find out, is this what you're doing, you're passionate about? And then teamwork. Second one is just simple teamwork. You need to work well in a team. What's the criteria? People like you, right? People like, I mean, they don't have to like you as a person, so you don't have to make best friends at work, but they need to like working with you. Right? They will say, yeah, the next project with Cindy, yes, definitely, I want Cindy on my team, right? So that's the criteria. You want to be liked, to be working with. And then communication. This is the time you need to observe. You need to see what do you say at the team meeting, at the group meeting, at all hands. Do you ask questions? Do you not ask questions? Right? So some of it is really your style. You have to pick a style. There are many styles out there. A few work for you. Stay with this. Because I believe in sustainability. So don't do something that's crazy. You can do it once or twice, but you cannot do on ongoing basis. Then it's not very helpful. So you want to build a skill that's comfortable to you and you can sustain, right? So for example, talking in a team, I did something like that initially. I always feel like I'm new here, I'm the most junior member of the team. I don't have a lot to offer, right? But then you feel like, hey, I have to say something, right? So what I do is I get in a meeting, I say it first. Because nobody has said anything yet, so I just say it, right? Then I go, okay, I'm done. So I just relax, right? So, you know, there are different tips you can do kind of to overcome some of it. Some works for you, some works for me. It's just your own thing. But you want to be more visible. You want to be speaking at a team meeting. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, but you need to be there, say, at least once, right? So give you a goal, you know, everybody's different. Some people probably problems they talk too much. That's not good either. So I don't know. People talking too much, I feel, may not be in this audience. They are too busy talking somewhere else. So people here are here to learn, and you may are more like this. So it's simple, right? Simple soft skill. You just build, practice, and evaluate. I think another thing to do is the evaluation criteria is very different from hard skills. You need to build your own sensory to be able to gauge, do people like working with you? Right? So tons of hard skill, but what do you do? So you kind of job function, right? You need to learn your job. And don't just do what you are asked to do. You kind of accumulate, you understand your domain. You always think about what is the domain knowledge I'm building, right? For people jumping around too much in the industries, they lack that deep understanding. And I think she was saying she worked in automobile industry for 5 years, and you find it's not your passion. Great, this is time to think about changing. But then it's good because every industry you're in, so if you're 20 years in your career, at that time you need to have some domain knowledge. So be careful with that. You can try different things, but once you find something you like, you have to stay there because that's where you accumulate domain knowledge. And the project management skills, I think that's something 1 to 5 years you should start thinking about, right? Project manager, what does it mean? Schedule, time management, and especially dependency management. If you're dependent on another piece, what do you do at the beginning? What do you do in the middle? How do you track? That's actually important. So don't expect you're very good at it. Many of those skills, even though they are harder skills, it takes time, right? It takes time. It's not just how smart you are, you will get it. It's actually the time accumulating skills. So just leverage the time you have in there. Nobody will judge you. You are not expected to be a good project manager for if you are 1 to 5 years. So you are not, but use that time. It's a safe environment. Nobody expects anything out of you, but you can do well. That's where you stand out, actually. If you can do better in managing your dependencies, you stand out in the crowd. So that's the 1 to 5 years. There's a much longer list on the soft skill for the 5 years and above. So I start out with the career change, right, if needed. So that's the time you should sit back. 5 years, it doesn't have to be 5, sometimes 4, sometimes 6, but roughly. Because what it means is you have done enough in the industry by then, or at a job. You have some insights about yourself. You have some insights about what this job is about. So you need to sit back and think about, is this the right industry or domain you want to continue accumulating knowledge in? Is this the job function? Are you an engineer? Do you want to consider being a manager? Do you want to be a project manager? Do you want to be a product manager, right? Marketing person. So there are different career paths you can consider. So sit back. I advocate at that time you explore, because you accumulated enough credential, people will let you try different functions at that point. You have earned a ticket by then. So use that ticket. Explore your opportunity and find something you're passionate with that can sustain you 20 years down the road. So I think those are top 2. That's more like a mindset. And then your leadership style, right? It's not yet the skills yet, but the first thing is to figure out a style you like. So what are some of the styles? Some, as a manager, there's leading from the front, there's leading from the behind, right? There are managers who are more supporters, there are managers who are leaders, and so those are 2 obvious. There are more managers who are more verbal, some managers are very subtle, and some managers observe a long time, then make a decision. Some people just jump in, making a decision. Those are all different styles. First, figure out what your style is, and then every style has its pro and a con. Life is equal that way. So you just watch out to what is the strength of your style, what's the weakness, and watch for the weakness. So, and also by then you may have hit a couple of conflicts, right? Conflicts meaning I want to do this, that person just doesn't agree with my design. And we argue a lot so conflict, you probably have some conflict. And if you want to get your stuff done, you have to deal with the conflict to enable you to go fast. And the visibility, right? Do you want to go talk to your VP, right? Do you want to schedule a skip level one-on-one? When do you do that, right? And an organizational sense, charter. What does each group own? Those are all very important because decisions are made considering organizational charters. So if you want to do A that doesn't fit in the charter, it will just never happen, right? So that's another one. And most important is identify sponsor but seek a mentor. So those are different things. Sponsor and a mentor, right? Sponsor are the ones that have empower, they can help you. They can open doors for you. They can promote you. They can put you in a position you don't have the skills yet. And they have to believe in you. They believe in you. They saw your strengths. They want to be that person to push you forward. Very rarely, it's not, you don't just go out and find one easily. So sponsors are very hard to come by, right? And those sponsors are coaches, right? They push you, actually. It's not always comfortable. But if they push you, that means they believe in you can have the potential to grow. So sponsors are really important. If you find the one, you better stick with that person. And mentors, but mentors, they are not responsible for anything, right? I mentor a lot of people. I don't help them get promoted. I may give them some skills they can then get promoted, but indirectly. I don't have the power to do anything for that person. So you can have many mentors. And the mentors can be hard skill mentors, soft skill mentors. Even soft skill, there are specific areas like people skills versus organizational skills. You know, there are different areas, right? So you need to start looking for mentor, find ways to gain from those people, learn from them. Because learning from mentor is a key element of soft skill. If somebody never talks to a mentor, never learns from people, I doubt that person will be very good at soft skills. You just can't avoid that. Hard skill you can learn in your cubicle, learn at home, internet, it's achievable. Self-learning is achievable, hard skill-wise. Soft skill, I don't believe that. So you have to learn from mentors. So find ways to do mentors. But then continue learning hard skills. I think I like the concept of keep learning. Hard skills, even in this industry, technology changed so much, right? Even traditional industry being disrupted, right? Like the taxi industry disrupted by Uber. So nobody is safe. But at the senior level, what do you learn? You no longer learn the detailed job function. You learn some design skills, architecture skills, how to put big pieces together in a sustainable way. And also, very importantly, in high-tech companies, product sense. A product, not just how it's done, but what is this being used? Then that will give you the ability to trade off performance versus storage, right? You have to make a good design sense is full of trade-offs. But how do you make those trade-offs? It comes from product sense. The product managers help you to some extent, but they are not technically enough to go all the way. So you are the person need to have good product sense. So senior engineers or senior managers get to a certain point, they have good product sense. So don't forget that. Usability, it doesn't have to be UI. Usability doesn't mean UI. It just means understanding how users use our system to make it as less error-prone as possible. And become the subject matter expert. You need to gain some expert title now. If you are reaching your 10 years career, you better be an expert in something. Whether official or not official. Somebody, you need to be the go-to person for something in your company, in your job. So I think the levels are different, even though they both are hard skills, but reaching up the career, the hard skill requirements are different. And soft skills, certainly more and more are on the soft skills. It makes sense? Any questions? I don't usually like the dense ones, but that's kind of summary, right? We talked a lot of the foundations, so what's soft skill, what's hard skill. Why do you need to do those? Is because you need to have a secure career, right? Secure career, how do you build a secure career? If you do those, you keep learning your soft skill, your hard skill in stages, I think you're secure. All right, another long list, because to prepare for this talk, I got together with a bunch of managers because this talk is about from managers' point of view. So I'm very thorough in preparing my stuff. So I go, hey managers, you guys all have been managing for a long time. Let's brainstorm what's do's and don'ts. So I got a list from them. I'm just going to share with you. Oops, okay, those are the books. Oh yeah, some books I really like. So there's something called outlier. This is more like a hard skill. You read that. And from the book, I started talking this phrase. My husband and I talk about this. a lot is 10,000 hours, right? Anybody heard that? To be a domain expert, 10,000 hours, right? It just takes time. It's not 10,000, what does it mean? So if we assume 2,000 hours full-time job kind of rate a year, at least 5 years. But that's 5 years focused on something, right? You may not be full-time, you may be doing other stuff. So at least 5 years. So my husband and I talk in that language. We go, no, you have 10,000 hours in this area, so you're good at it. I have 10,000 hours in this area. So 10,000 hours is the number I want you to walk away with. And a crucial conversation is a book about conflict resolution, a little bit psychological. How do you understand the other point of view? How do you resolve? And the last one is really about product sense. It's a great book about how the high-tech companies die, right? Startups die, they don't make it. Why? And from there, you learn this gap in there. That's called a chasm. You need to cross the chasm to be successful. It's great about technology and applies in many places. Anyway, just simple. So this is the list. So I put it at the end, depending on how much time. We have 5 minutes. So you guys read that and ask any questions, like if you disagree with some of those. So we can, so the first one, right, take charge of your career, mentors, look for information, don't be told what to do, and be aware of different career paths. I think that's something you are thinking about. And I think about career as a long race. So I talked about sustainability, right? You need to be in shape. She left. The professor here said you need to be in shape. You need to keep going. So, and proactively share with your manager what you're interested in. The interest, right? Interest is there too. Don't assume managers know. Sometimes you like to do backhand, you don't like to do UI. Manager has no idea. Manager may assign you a task you may not be interested in. Then the problem is take you longer, you struggle through it, and it's not good, right? So unless you want to learn it, then you can try it. But if you clearly don't want to do something, tell your manager. And keep learning, take a break from your field if possible. So that's about learning. That's after 10 years. And work on convincing people. Convincing people is important. A lot of people, they go up to somebody and find that person is not believing in it, or didn't want to do it, and then they come back and say, oh, that person doesn't want to do it. So then how do you convince that person, right? I actually had that talk with one of my team members who reports to me, and I told her, I said, look, people usually have different answers in different situations, right? That's normal. It's not because that person has low integrity. It's just different situations. They say yes, they say no to other situations. So you just find that you want that person to say yes, right? Yeah, okay. Then you make that environment, he will say yes. You put him in this environment, and his answer has to be yes, right? If that environment is no, but the key is to figure out what's important to that person. If that person wants, and typically people want multiple things. Sometimes it's conflicting. That's why they say yes here, they say no here. A lot of times it's quality versus schedule, right? There's always that trade-off back and forth. So yeah, so convincing people is important. And then number 6, don't be negative. I didn't focus on that. So my phrase is don't bring a problem, but bring a solution, even if the solution could be a terrible one. Right? So if you bring up a problem to your boss, you will say, hey, this environment or this code base is so hard to work with. Yes, it's a problem, but you tell your boss that, what is the boss going to do, right? So that's viewed very negatively. You're just complaining. So you can say something like, hey, this code base is hard to work with. How about we spend some time improving this one? Maybe it's the wrong answer. That's okay, right? Maybe the boss say, hey, no, this one's hard to change, but maybe we can change that. But the conversation becomes constructive. right? It's not just you complaining and depending on your boss to figure out how to solve the problem. Because you probably feel the boss has more experience, the boss can solve it better than me. But you don't portray yourself as a constructive team player, right? You need to be constructive. So what does that mean? I always just come up with any random suggestions. That at least shows I'm thinking about how to solve the problem. But I'm far less experienced than you, so my solution is not as good as yours, but I did my best, right? So that's actually not hard to do. It's just a lot of people automatically feel, I'm new here, I must not know how to do this. Then you just present the problem. So always present a solution, a solution. Number 7 is a funny one because I don't get bothered by this being a manager, but some managers do. Like, you have other issues, right? Like I had one employee once complained about the tax form is wrong or something. There's one field wrong. And go like that. Payroll department cannot do their job. Every year it's wrong. It's not my job, right? So clearly, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm an engineering manager. I don't deal with finance. So they're complaining about something outside. So some managers get bothered by that. And it's like, you take a look at my job. I don't do this. So why are you complaining to me? For me, it didn't bother me. What I do is I go, okay, yeah, it is a problem. So I turn around, try to send an email to somebody. Finance, say, hey, you're finance, maybe you know this. Then I forward this email to him to show, hey, I did something. It may not lead to anything because I don't know anybody in there. But you can show that at least I acknowledge that's a problem and I'm trying to do something. And that's good enough to him. He's fine with me. But some managers actually don't like that. So if you have some problems the manager has no power of fixing, don't bring it to the manager, right? So, yeah, and the number 8 it's for people who are less sensitive in general. A lot of people kind of point out a problem of another person in public. Like, why do you do that, right? You cannot say, hey, so and so. Sometimes you're not saying somebody's name, but if you call out a piece that is in problem, then people associate that piece with the person, so that person gets offended. So be careful with that. There are a lot of people not careful and they just in public do that and burn a lot of bridges. Anything else to highlight? Yeah, so number 10, number 11 are something I covered. You don't get stuck, right? And also proactively update your manager on the progress. If it's going to be, so my rule of thumb is if it's more than 2 weeks, you need to update your manager. If it's within a week, nobody wants to be updated every day. And that's too extreme, right? So you kind of, if you feel like something, you're not going to finish something within 2 weeks, you better let your manager know. So that's my rule of thumb. But it depends on situation. Sometimes it's a very complex problem. Manager expects you to go away for months, come back with a recommendation, then you don't have to keep updating them. But most execution-oriented have this 2 weeks I observed in reality is people's mental threshold. Okay. Anything else? I circle those so that you know. So so there's probably different age, stage of the career. So we are 12 o'clock. What do you want to do? We should end, right? Okay. Another long list. We don't have time to talk about. What are the soft skills? I broke down into 4 categories. There's execution, relationship, how do you work with people, right? Empathy, harmony, there are different flavors of soft skills. Influencing is a big one. How do you convince people? Strategic thinking, don't lose track of that. Once you become a senior person, you need to have a big picture. Strategic thinking is very, very important. But I still lump that into hard skill. I feel like a lot of strategic is a hard skill, but how do you present your strategic thinking and soft skills. All right. Okay. A lot of content, but hopefully you remember two things: manage your career, find your interest. If you remember two, I'm successful.
Thank you very much, Vicky. And those are really, really practical tips. I believe everybody has learned a lot today, this morning, and we can immediately apply what we learned this morning to our work or when we apply for new jobs next week. So I also want to give echo to the books that Vicky just shared with us. I personally really like and recommend Outlier. I listened to it, the audiobook, for over 10 times during the commute. And I also recommend two other books. One is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and the other is Principles. I believe the first one applies to people of all kinds of ages, and the second one applies to more senior people. So if you're interested, you can look on Apple Store or Amazon. I basically spend all my commute time listening to audiobooks, and those are really helpful in my life. And as I said at the beginning of this session, the Mentoring Tag provides some really in-depth mentoring programs. Except this one, we will also have the Open Source Technology Demo Day. And in our daily basis, we can help people, we can provide mock interviews to our audiences. We have a few mentors in our community who are also here today. And Shang Shu, can you please stand up? And he has been the mentor in our Mentoring Tag community. He's a very senior software engineer and currently working for Uber. And yeah, he's a PhD in computer science and also has been working for over 10 years, right? Yeah, so he's one of our mentors. And we also have some mentors for the junior professionals and also the new grads or students. For example, Sharon Cui is also here. And Sharon is currently working as a fintech data analyst at PayPal. Yeah, and Sharon graduated from Berkeley. And if you are interested in fintech or data analysis, you can talk to her or contact me to talk to her if she will leave soon. And we also have Cindy Liu. And Cindy Liu is a very successful entrepreneur and businesswoman in Bay Area. She has very broad network connections, and she can also help to enhance the soft skills because she's super good at it. She has several companies. She also owns some university. And as Vicky said, we need to keep fit mentally and physically. So Silicon Valley Career Women is also running another fitness watcher program to help the busy working people to keep fit. And Cindy Liu is the lead of that particular program. If you're interested in fitness watcher, please feel free to talk to her during lunchtime. And I'm very thankful to Jonathan, John, and they sponsored this great lunch, the Italian style, for us.